Hi everyone, this is Peter McPhail with Lifestyle Properties Maine. Today we are heading to Robbinston, Maine, Washington County. We're going to look at a 330 acre plus or minus lot, off-grid property that encompasses Rogue Lake, which is a small pond, but the property encompasses all of it. Right now we're at St. Croix Island International Historic Site and probably 10-15 minutes from the property. This is a place where if you wanted to get into some salt water, you can launch a boat here and enjoy a good day on the salt water. Beautiful views here, as you can see, of the St. Croix River. And we'll take a walk down so you can see the boat launch. A little bit about the history of Robbinston. It was settled in 1786 by Edwin Robbins. He was a colonel in the Army in the Revolutionary War. And he brought in some settlers, and initially it was called Robinstown, and then they eventually changed the name to Robbinston. Just before the incorporation, around 1811 is when they incorporated the town. Population of Robbinston, roughly 650 people. Small area, but easy day trip if you've ever wanted to go to Prince Edward Island. You're about a 5-hour drive to Prince Edward Island. I have never been. If you've been to Prince Edward Island, put it in the comments below. But let's continue walking down to the boat launch. Guys, I wanted to point out the St. Croix boat launch. That is a four-wheel drive primitive launch. So when we're talking about the tide levels here in Robbinston on the St. Croix River, I'm gonna have Joey show you some footage here of this boat launch. We're to the south of the St. Croix boat launch. This one is paved concrete. But that first one, you'd have to, actually both of these, you're gonna wanna pay attention to the tide charts. Know where the tide levels are before you go launching a boat and when you're gonna pull the boat out. But most definitely on the four-wheel drive one. You can see just amazingly beautiful scenery here along the St. Croix River. But we're gonna head over to the property now. But you do have access to these two boat launches here within minutes of the property. I wanted you to see, he's standing towards the end of the pier, the dock, and I'm standing at about high tide right here, just to give you an idea of the water level fluctuation from the tides. It is pretty amazing. Hey guys, we're still at the boat launch here in the southern boat launch. Great place to have a picnic here as well. But we've got a massive seal out there sunning himself on the rock. Having a grand old time out there in the sun. It's September here, but it's like 75 degrees mid-September. Perfect day. All right guys, so we're heading in on the gravel road system that goes into the property. But before we get all the way in here, we're actually gonna jump on the ATV, take the side-by-side in, because the last, I think it's like 1,700 feet into the property is, I could drive the truck in, but the trees have grown in pretty tight and it's pretty bumpy, so we're just gonna have some fun and take the wheeler in the rest of the way. But I do wanna show you the boat launch to Nash's lake. It's just about an 850 acre lake, and there's cold and warm water fishing there, so you get cold water species of fish and warm water species. Beautiful lake, but we'll be there in just a minute. Hey guys, we are at the boat launch to Nash's lake. It is drought conditions here in September, has been most of the summer. So I could see you could launch a small boat here. I don't know if you could get a pontoon boat in or not with the drought conditions that we've had, but it is a beautiful body of water, and we're going to continue on into the property. So let's head that way. All right guys, we just turned off from Bear Hollow Road and we're heading into the property. This is the right of way in. And as you can see, this last stretch heading in is basically a Jeep trail right now. If you wanted to drive in here with anything other than a Jeep or a pickup truck with some clearance, you're gonna have to do some work. All right guys, we just crossed the Calais Robbinston town line onto the property. The property is on both sides of this right away. Heavily wooded property, guys. It probably hasn't been cut 20, I'm guessing 20 to 25 years. So you have a lot of spruce. A lot of spruce in here, a little bit of popple, aspen, some birch, but heavily wooded property. What we're gonna do first, guys, there's a hiking path down to the pond, Rogue Lake. We're gonna stop there and hike down, show you that. All right, guys, time to stretch our legs. We're gonna hike down to the pond. And just want to give a shout out to my friends, William and Cindy. They built a really nice summer home cabin here in Robbinston. Beautiful place, overlooking some blueberry fields. So this forest here on the 330 plus minus acres, you know, you've got, I would say, probably 70% spruce and fir. And then the rest would be your hardwood forest of maple and some birch trees and some aspen, but very heavily wooded, thick forest. Now the pond down here, you would utilize this. You're not gonna build down near the pond just because I don't think the soils would pass to build down here. Plus the distance from the road would be fairly expensive to build a road in here. But it's a beautiful spot. Maybe pitch a tent down here. A lot of game have been using this trail. Seeing deer sign and grouse. All right, guys, we've been paralleling the pond here and on this trail, but there's a nice little flat spot overlooking the pond right here. Gotta watch where I'm walking, but you know, I would pitch a tent right there, have a place, maybe put a bench overlooking the pond. Beautiful moss covered shoreline here. Really beautiful spot. But again, the game have been using this like a highway. Let's get you out onto the pond, give you a better look. Boys, guys, it is quiet here right now. I'm listening to a chipmunk, some birds, some crickets. There's been some dragonflies just kind of patrolling over the body of water here, but absolutely peace and quiet. This is the place you want to get away to. Hey guys, we're almost back to the four-wheeler, but just a funny story about moss. My wife has a cousin of hers that is from Maine but moved to Oklahoma, and she's lived there for quite a few years. And if you've ever been to Oklahoma, put it in the comments below. But her cousin came back this summer and was walking through the woods and just on her hands and knees feeling the moss. She's like, oh, feel how soft this is. If you've ever been to Oklahoma, I'll tell you what, you can walk around the grass out there and get things stuck in you that don't feel real soft. Pretty rugged country. Hey guys, now that I've shown you Rogue Lake, the small pond, we're gonna head deeper into the property. There's a sand pit in here. If you have kids with a mini bike or adult kids with a dirt bike, this would be probably a fun spot that they would want to hang out at. But let's go check it out. Hey guys, so this is part of the sand pit, but like I said, if you had some kids, grandkids, or adult kids with mini bikes, dirt bikes, or whatever, they would have a blast in this section here. We're going to continue on to the far end of the property. There is a brook that crosses the road, but with the drought we've had, I don't expect there to be any water in it, but let's go see what we can find. We made it to the brook crossing here at the road, but it is completely dry. So I'm driving across here it is bone dry, and that's the drought conditions. But this meadow wraps up around, and just a pretty spot. I don't know if you sat up on the sand pit, which overlooks this as well, and timed it right, maybe early morning or towards dark, you might see a moose walking out through here. Let's talk about distances from the 330 acres in Robbinston. If you wanted to go on a day trip into Canada, you could be at St. Andrews in about an hour, and then Prince Edward Island's about 5 hours. Boston is 5.5, and the city of Bangor is probably 2 hours and 20 minutes to the airport there as well. So recap, the 330 acre piece here, it's off-grid. It is a great recreational piece. If you're looking for a legacy property for your grandkids, this would make a nice spot. Come in here and build an off-grid cabin, off-grid home. Internet usage, you know, you would use Starlink would be your best bet. I do have OK cell service here, and I got a major cell phone carrier. The price on the property is $275,000. This has been Peter McPhail with Lifestyle Properties of Maine. Thanks for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you guys again real soon.